Hi, I'm Ethan, reporting live from the red carpet for War of the Planet of the Apes. Check out our exclusive interviews.
How happy are you with the results of this, and how much do you feel for Caesar?
Listen, I've had an amazing time playing this character over the course of 3 movies. It's been one of the most joyous characters I've ever played in my life because of, I played him all the way through from infancy, all the way through his life to late maturity. It's so rare for an actor to get that opportunity to be in movies which are 3 movies which are highly intelligent, great entertainment, have been directed by, with Rupert in the first one and Matt in the last 2, just brilliant storytelling. The arc of Caesar's journey has been extraordinary, and also the fact that it's not just seeing this character grow and age and become a father and become a leader, but it's also he's evolving all the time. So underlying that whole thing is this sense of the character going from pure chimpanzee, evolving through to almost being a human. And the irony of this film is that when as he's about to become more human-like, he suffers such personal loss that the base instincts in him become the most animal, and that's the contradiction in the character, and why it's not only is this the war for the Planet of the Apes, but it's the war for Caesar's own soul.
So Winter played a very interesting role in this film as he was on both sides of the fight.
Right.
How do you think the impact? How do you feel about his character? And did you think of any other characters to influence that?
I love the complexity of Winter in this film because, like you said, he's kind of on both sides, but it's how complex he deals with it and where he's dealing with it. It's not really a moral or an ethical background. It's more of a reaction. And I love the aspect that I got to play like an albino silverback. Like, how cool is that? So that to me, like the idea of what he has to go through was something that was very challenging, but I really appreciated the Matt Reeves giving me that opportunity.
You played a lot with Andy Serkis.
Yeah.
Was there a difference before betraying him and after betraying him?
What do you mean?
Playing against him, the intensity.
Right. Oh, no, Andy is the consummate professional and extremely gentle and nurturing, and when we were talking about the scene, we really wanted to get it right. When we were in the scene, he gave me so much as Winter and Caesar. He's done this before. It's not his first rodeo. So for me, he was nothing but a nurturer and just trying to get the best product. And he did it in a very compassionate way.
Andy is essentially the king of motion capture acting.
Dude, he's the king.
He's undoubtedly the king.
Like, I was doing the scene with him, and I literally needed to take a second. As we were ready to go, I was like, wait a second. I have to walk and compose myself and going, this is the king. Get your shit together, you know what I mean?
Did he offer you a lot of advice as to how to better play the role?
He didn't. He just led by example, and you just if you're somebody that really wants to get the job right and you know that he's the king, you just watch and you learn. And he was nothing but gentle and compassionate, and it was something that was really beautiful to be a part of. And he let you be as creative as possible. He didn't kind of pigeonhole you, so it was great.
What were some of the difficulties of playing a character that doesn't speak English?
That's an interesting thing, and you need to get all your emotionality and language across, and the sign language aspect of it. So it was difficult, but it was something that I really kind of took the bull by the horns and really wanted to make sure I told the story.
And how was working with Matt Reeves?
Oh, Matt's great. Matt's one of the clearest directors I've worked with. He really gets his idea across, and again, he's compassionate also and very loving. So you don't feel like you're screwing anything up. You literally feel like we're working together, and he moves the story forward and he moves the energy forward, but he does it in a very gentle way. And I've never been so clear with a director, and I'm proud to be working with him.
So why Planet of the Apes? What first attracted you to this film series?
Caesar. You came up with a character.
Well,
Caesar.
listen, I grew up a big Planet of the Apes fan, and especially the first one. And we had been reading a bunch of articles about chimpanzees that had been raised in homes as children and how it always ended badly. And for years we were trying to figure out a way to make a movie out of that. We weren't sure what it was. So we kind of created the character of Caesar. And then one day it clicked. We thought, wait a minute, this could be Planet of the Apes. And so it just kind of exploded from there. You know, the story came to the first one came very quickly. And the truth is too, the fact that we've done the 3 films in basically 9 years is pretty amazing. So we've been very lucky that way.
Yeah.
By the way, you know, we love, you know, Rod Serling wrote the first Planet of the Apes, and there's something about the science fiction of it all that can help us really relate to the apes and their struggles. So I think the truth is there's a lot of things that draw you to the Apes series. Yeah.
3 films into the series, and it looks like there is no conclusion. I've seen the film already, and I can see this franchise continuing. Where do you see this series going in the future?
When we conceived of this, we always thought it ends with Colonel Taylor on that beach. Is it 2,000 years in the future? I always get
That's
that
like,
wrong.
oh yeah, 2,700. But listen, you know, what's great about the fact that we've been so fortunate that people responded, there's so many ways to go with the series, or you know, what could be the next trilogy. So
It's a lot more story
there's a
to
lot
tell.
of stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of ways to go. As long as it keeps moving forward, we'll be good.
And you worked on a lot of major epic films. Planet of the Apes, you've written Jurassic World, also working on Avatar and Mulan. How did this compare to those films?
This one film or the whole?
This franchise compared to those franchises?
This one was very personal because we kind of raised Caesar from a little chimp in our heads,
Yeah.
in our hearts.
Our kids feel like they grew up with Caesar. I mean, you know, they would get birthday presents from Caesar and Christmas presents from Caesar, and so he really has been like a member of our family. But we've been also just really fortunate. There's so many ways these movies can go wrong, and we just kept getting lucky breaks and the right people, and Andy and Matt and
Weta. You know,
Weta.
none of it would be possible if all
These guys are
crazy
genius.
things hadn't come together.
The true artists.
And you have a lot of interesting movies coming up. Can you give us any news about Mulan or Avatar?
For sure. Well, Avatar, we start shooting September 25th, doing performance capture. So we're very excited about
The
that.
scripts all 4 scripts are incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, Jim Cameron is such a fantastic storyteller.
We loved working with him. He's really smart. He's very generous. He's a great guy. He's a funny storyteller, but a true visionary. And each movie stands alone, but it comes together as one big saga. And in Mulan, we hope to go into production at the beginning of the year. We're casting it now, and Nikki Caro is the director. And she's fantastic. We love her. Love her.
How was working with Matt Reeves as compared to James Cameron or some of your other directors?
Well, they're all
both wonderful.
Yeah, they all bring a different energy and style to it. It's hard to really compare them. I wouldn't want to say one is really good at one thing. I don't want anybody to assume that someone else is not. But I will say that Matt is he's one of the hardest working, stick to it, has a vision. You know, he's a leader by example, and he's just so passionate. You know, it's kind of like being a little kid again, with the brain and the body of an adult. You know, he's just incredible guy to work with.
So the film featured a lot of amazing special effects, but a lot of it seemed very practical, especially in the opening scene where you have apes running around a wooden fortress. To what extent were a lot of it CGI versus practical effects?
There's something great about having something in the camera to start with, so we actually fought really hard to keep as much of the practical explosions and dirt hits and squibs and that sort of thing as we could. It can be a challenge because you got to put apes behind all those effects, and so often we have to layer additional CG, elements over the top. But all of the apes in the movie are completely digital. All of the, any character that's screwy and fuzzy, it doesn't look like a human, that's a digital character.
There was a lot of close-ups, especially on the character of Caesar.
Yes.
And it's really hard to bring out the emotion in a person if the actual face isn't being, on camera. It's CGI. What were some of the difficulties in making sure every single muscle is being portrayed moving?
Well, that's exactly right. It's every single muscle movement, making sure that it comes through. And fortunately, this is the third film we've done with Andy as Caesar, so we've learned a lot about how to really make that detail work without having to go very broad with it. And that's where we spend all of our time, is just paying attention to that minute detail.
Yeah, and in some cases, we'll alter the design of the character slightly in order to be able to hit emotionally the beats that the actor playing that character hits.
And you've worked on many films doing special effects. Were there any special difficulties with this film as compared to another one?
Well, I think
always.
One of the challenges with this whole franchise is that they emotionally, those characters have to carry the movie, but because they play alongside humans and they play in real photography, they have to look 100% photoreal. If the audience doesn't believe those characters, either photographically or they don't believe them emotionally, the movie doesn't work. And so that's a real responsibility for us as the visual effects guys to make sure that everything, hits all the right notes.
And with so many apes in the film, there was a lot of interaction. Apes to apes, apes to human, apes riding horses, apes interacting with the snow and the rain and the splashing. There was all that really grounds it, but it makes it feel like the apes were there when you shot the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How difficult was the final scene to shoot, the big battle scene? Would you find that more difficult to do as compared to two apes talking to each other in a setting?
It's a different kind of challenge. I mean, the challenge of the big battle scene often is like, how do you stage it? And with Matt Reeves, who's a very point of view driven director, he wants to see all that spectacle, but he wants to see it from the point of view of the characters. So sometimes, okay, we got to stay with the characters, but how do we see the scope? How do we get the big wide views? But the biggest challenge really is the characters, because the characters, with a big battle, if the explosion's not quite right, usually people don't notice. But with a character, if you don't believe the emotion, you don't buy it at all, and the movie doesn't work.
So your character plays a girl that cannot talk. What are some of the difficulties with that?
Well, it was definitely a challenge at first, but I've always been told that I'm very expressive. So I was just reacting as if I would react if I was in that situation. So without words, basically.
Speaking of reacting in that situation, you're a little girl in a room by herself, and a bunch of apes walked into her room. Well, how would you react if that was you?
I mean, Nova was pretty brave, because I would have screamed. I would have been like, can you imagine like apes barging into your house, holding guns and just like staring at you? That's pretty scary.
How was working with Matt Reeves?
He's so talented, and I cannot express to anybody how much love and respect I have for him, and he knows what he wants, and he's so open to, if you weren't comfortable with something or if you felt that something shouldn't have happened that way, he was open to it, and you guys would make sure that everyone liked where the scene was going, and I'm just so fortunate that I got to work with someone like him.
So tell me about your role in the film.
I played Boyle, who's kind of one of the go-to soldiers for Woody Harrelson's character, and so basically when things need to get done, I do it, but I do it in a very aggressive manner. Yeah.
Were there some conflicting emotions playing that character, considering you were also shown mercy at the hands of the apes?
Well, I mean, I think the conflicting playing the character is, I'm an animal lover, right? And my character is the exact opposite. Like, he wants anything but, the apes to survive and to succeed and stuff. So, I mean, from a personal level, it's kind of a thing where I'm playing the exact opposite of who I am. Yeah.
And how was working with Woody Harrelson?
Oh, it's amazing because it's Woody on set. It's exactly who you think Woody Harrelson is. And then the second that action yells, we're serious mode, and he's also in the Colonel. And I mean, he's one of the biggest stars out there, and there's a reason for it. And you guys will see on screen. I mean, the guy is just awesome, and he's such a badass when he's playing the villain, right? It's just like you can't pick a better choice for it. So, yeah.
A lot of your scenes were with apes or people doing motion capture and CGI. What were some of the difficulties with that?
Well, the thing a lot of people don't realize with motion capture is you're not filming together. So the apes and the humans, we film those separately. So we do one take where we're, as a reference, and then we film it completely on our own. And then, so when we come to these premieres and stuff, it's really cool because that's the first time we actually get to see us interacting together and stuff. So it's complete use of imagination. Unlike normally when you're on set, you're literally there together. So yeah.
What was your favorite scene to shoot?
I have a scene in particular with Terry Notary in the film where we're kind of squaring off one-on-one, where it's kind of it's almost like an old Western, showdown between humans and apes, and that would definitely be my favorite. I mean, that's just one-on-one apes versus human, and Terry's awesome.
So tell me a bit about your character in the film.
I played Blue Eyes, so I play Caesar's oldest son. You recognize him from the second film, in which he gets attacked by the bear. This time, we see him a little bit older. We see him at the beginning of what is to become a war between the humans and the apes. And we see him approaching what might be a leadership position in the tribe.
The character's got a lot of conflicting emotions. Yeah, I've seen the film already. From when he comes back into the cave, he's got a lot of conflicting emotions. What are some of the difficulties of portraying that, especially considering motion capture?
There was a lot of layers to it, I think, especially because I did not play the character in the second film. So I watched those films, especially the second film, Dawn, extensively to understand how that actor took on the character. So I wanted to incorporate some of that because it was his creation and I wanted to honor that, as well as bring my own interpretation, as well as understanding what it's like to age an ape. And also to have, he comes back from this long journey at the beginning of the film. So there's a lot of backstory I feel I have to walk into. I thought that was really a rewarding challenge to embody.
Were there any funny moments on sets that were very memorable?
Yes, that's funny. I didn't even think of this until you told me that. There was a moment, we're doing a gathering between all the apes. And all of us, we had to squat, I think, about an hour and a half shooting this thing. And because there's cameras everywhere, you can't just be off camera, right? You're always on camera. And Andy got a box to sit on. And the rest of us had to squat because of the position of the land. And because he's more important, obviously. And, kidding. And so we're there for about an hour and a half waiting and our legs are shaking and he's just going, oh my God, I gotta be finished with this. I gotta go back to my trailer. I can't keep doing this. Funny guy, really entertaining, always warm around set. And we had tons of good times.